They say women go invisible after 50, but I never believed it until the man I married looked me dead in the eyes and said, "You're too old to be loved." I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just stood there in the middle of our kitchen, hands still wet from rinsing out the coffee pot, the smell of burnt toast still hanging in the air. The microwave blinked 7:48 a.m., and I remember thinking, I was supposed to water the succulents today. Isn't that funny? After 33 years of marriage, after raising 2 kids together, after nursing him through back surgery and eating lukewarm takeout in hospital cafeterias, my first thought after he shattered my heart was about the damn plants. I'm Carol, and I'm 61 years old. I met Alan when I was 24. He was charming then, well-read, well-dressed, the kind of man who opened doors and made you feel like you were the only person in the room. We built a life together in a modest colonial just outside Albany. We didn't have much, but we made it work. By year 10, I was clipping coupons and sewing Halloween costumes from scratch. By year 20, we had refinanced the house to send our son Tyler to a private school. $18,700 a year, every penny of it scraped together from my side bookkeeping gigs and his warehouse management job. By year 30, I had paid off our mortgage with my late mother's inheritance, $97,500 in one lump sum. I didn't ask for a thank you, but I did expect respect. And yet, on a dull Tuesday morning in late February, he stood across from me in his cheap polo shirt and said those 6 words like he was commenting on the weather. "You're too old to be loved." I had noticed changes, of course, a few guys' nights that didn't line up, a cologne I didn't buy, a gym membership suddenly essential. He started dyeing his beard, horribly, I might add. Jet black on a man with graying eyebrows is never subtle. He started texting in the bathroom, started shaving more, caring more, for someone else it turns out. But until that morning, I hadn't allowed myself to name it. I looked at him. Not the man I married, just the man who stood there, smug and bored, sipping the coffee I brewed. I asked, "Are you seeing someone?" He didn't deny it, just sipped and said, "She's 24. It's not what you think." I remember tilting my head like a confused dog. Not what I think? Was she your intern? A waitress? Someone's daughter? "She listens to me," he said. "She doesn't nag. She doesn't fall asleep in the middle of movies. She doesn't," he waved vaguely in my direction, "she doesn't look tired all the time." Tired? I cook. I clean. I manage the house finances. I kept us afloat when he was unemployed in 2009. I am tired because I carry everything he takes for granted. I didn't slap him. I didn't raise my voice. I just walked upstairs, shut the door, and stared at myself in the bathroom mirror. I wasn't 24 anymore. My neck had creases. My eyes looked softer, maybe sadder, but I didn't look unlovable. I looked real, lived in, like someone who survived things. I didn't know who she was then, but I knew I would find out. That evening, he didn't come home, said he was staying with a friend, and would give me space. The next morning, his toothbrush was gone. By Friday, he had emptied $6,200 from our joint savings account. I noticed the transaction at 8:12 a.m. The memo line said, "Furniture deposit." I guess she wanted a new couch to match her stolen man. But I wasn't a fool. I worked in accounting for 27 years. I know how to track a paper trail, digital or otherwise, and over the next week, I traced him through receipts, GPS pings from our family plan, and a credit card charge at a boutique motel near Saratoga Springs, room 118. That's where they were. Her name was Marissa. I found her Instagram first. Public, of course. Girls like her want to be seen. They post selfies with half-closed eyes and open lips, surrounded by ring lights and lies. I scrolled for over an hour. She had posted a photo of a wine glass on a balcony. I zoomed in. Same motel railing. Room 118. I felt nothing. Not yet, just cold. Detached. Like I was running someone else's audit. But then, I saw his comment under one of her photos. "Can't wait to hold you tonight, baby. You're my future." Posted 3 days after our 33rd anniversary. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I printed it. I highlighted the date. I clipped it to the growing file folder marked Evidence. The next weekend, he showed up to pick up some clothes, walked in like it was still his house, tossed me a casual, "Hey, Carol." I sat at the table with a cup of tea and said nothing. He went upstairs, grabbed 2 shirts, a charger, and his old watch, the one I gifted him on his 50th, engraved with "Forever yours, C." He left the watch on the counter. As he walked out, I said, "Is she healthy?" He turned, confused. "What?" I repeated. "Is Marissa healthy? I mean, physically. Does she know what she's getting into?" He frowned. "Don't start." I smiled. It was small, practiced, dangerous. "You should tell her about the biopsy," I said, "before I do." His face drained. He hadn't told her. He thought I wouldn't. But I had the paperwork. I had his full medical records. Stage 2. Early signs. Nothing confirmed, but concerning enough that his urologist wanted a follow-up within 30 days. He said nothing. Just closed the door a little too hard behind him. I watched through the blinds as he drove away. Then I walked to the cabinet, pulled out the manila envelope labeled Allen Private, and laid out the scans and reports. Pages of tests, words like irregular growth, recommended biopsy, possible recurrence. I thought, he wants to feel young again? Let's see how young she feels reading this. After Allen left that day, I sat with the medical papers for a long time. I didn't read them again. I didn't need to. I had memorized every line, every terrifying possibility. I was the one who drove him to the original appointment, who held his hand in the waiting room, who Googled every term the doctor uttered. That was 7 months ago. He didn't want to talk about it then. "It's probably nothing," he'd muttered, brushing it off. "Men our age get all kinds of weird readings." But I saw the way his eyes lingered on the word abnormal. I knew he was scared. And now he was playing house with a 24-year-old Instagram doll, while those same shadows still hovered inside him. Men like Allen think youth is a cure. They think if they dress younger, talk younger, sleep with someone younger, they'll be younger. But disease doesn't care about your fantasies. I'm not a cruel woman. I've never believed in revenge for the sake of it. But this wasn't revenge. This was truth. She deserved to know. And if he wouldn't tell her, then I would. On March 3rd, I mailed the envelope. No return address, just her name, Marissa Hale, and the address of the boutique motel I'd confirmed she was living in with Allen. I waited until she'd posted a selfie from the motel pool to be sure. The caption said, "Saturdays with my person #blessed." The GPS tag told me everything I needed to know. Inside the envelope, I included the full urology report, his primary doctor's referral for a follow-up biopsy, and a typed note, brief, cold, unambiguous. "Since your boyfriend hasn't told you, I will. He missed a critical urology follow-up. These are the results he's hiding. You deserve to know what's going on inside his body. Good luck." I didn't sign it. I didn't need to. She'd know. That was a Saturday. By Tuesday, Allen was back at the door. I didn't answer. Just watched through the front window as he rang the bell 3 times, then pounded once with the side of his fist. He looked rough, unshaved, dark circles under his eyes, his shirt half-tucked, like he'd gotten dressed in a hurry. He was spiraling. I finally opened the door after 10 full minutes. "Carol," he said. "What did you do?" I didn't play dumb. I didn't pretend. I simply stepped aside and said, "You should sit down." He stormed past me into the living room, like he still had the right. I stayed standing. "She left," he said, pacing. "She took her stuff and left. She got the envelope then?" He glared. "You think this is funny?" "No, I think it's necessary. She's scared out of her mind. She thought I was dying." "Are you?" I asked calmly. "Because last I checked, your doctor recommended a biopsy 6 months ago, and you ghosted the clinic. You didn't even cancel. You just ignored it." He looked away. "I didn't want to know." That was Allen in a nutshell. Avoid, deflect, blame. "You had no problem starting over with her," I said. "So why not start over with a clean medical record, too?" "Jesus, Carol," he muttered, sitting down on the edge of the armchair like it burned. I let the silence stretch. "Do you want sympathy from me?" I asked finally. He looked up, shocked. "I didn't come for sympathy." "Good," I said, "because you're fresh out of credit here." We sat there in silence for a long time. The clock on the wall ticked. Outside, the mail truck rolled by. He tapped his fingers on his thigh, something he only did when he was nervous. Then, in the smallest voice, he asked, "Do you think it's bad?" I said nothing for a beat. Then, "Do you want the real answer, or the lie you fed her?" His eyes watered, just slightly. "I didn't mean to hurt you, Carol." That made me laugh, a short, bitter exhale. "You didn't mean to hurt me when you told me I was too old to be loved? When you drained our savings for hotel stays and furniture with your little girlfriend? When you humiliated me in front of our kids by disappearing?" He looked down. "I don't know why I did it." "Yes, you do," I said. "You were scared of getting old, scared of being sick, so you tried to outrun it by crawling into someone younger." That silence again, that unbearable silence between people who used to know each other. Finally, I stood up. "If you're scared, go to your doctor. Get the damn biopsy. Stop hiding." He didn't argue. He just looked up at me and said, "She blocked my number." I shrugged. "I'm sure she'll unblock you when the medical panic wears off, or maybe she won't. Either way, she got more honesty from me than she ever got from you." Later that night, I got a call from Tyler, our oldest. "Dad's been calling," he said. "He says you did something to ruin his relationship." "I sent truth in an envelope," I replied. "What he does with it is his problem." Tyler sighed. "He's talking about moving back in." "He won't," I said firmly. There was a pause. "You okay, Mom?" I smiled faintly. "I'm fine. I think this is the first week I've slept through the night in years." That weekend, I took myself to brunch. Just me. A table for one, sunny side eggs, and the paper. I wore lipstick, red. The same shade Alan used to say made me look like trouble. Good. I brought my journal. I wrote, March 9th. He says I'm too old to be loved, but I'm not too old to know the truth, to defend myself, or to take back my life. And then I wrote something else. If he comes crawling back, I'll give him exactly what he gave me. The thing about being left behind is that eventually you stop staring at the door. By mid-March, the house felt quiet, not lonely. Not anymore, just mine. His slippers were still under the bench near the entryway, size 11, old and frayed, and for the first time in a decade, I tossed them into the trash without a second thought. I was done preserving pieces of a man who had already replaced me, but I wasn't done yet. See, revenge isn't about screaming or burning bridges. It's about timing. It's about planning. It's about making someone realize exactly what they threw away, and doing it with grace, so cold it burns. Alan still hadn't followed up on the biopsy. I checked his patient portal. Yes, I still had the login. He'd ignored the appointment reminder sent on March 14th. I didn't nudge him. That part was out of my hands now. But I knew how this would go. Fear followed by panic, followed by desperation for comfort. And comfort, that was me. Always had been. Not anymore. On March 22nd, a week after our silent standoff in the living room, he texted me. The message was short. We should talk. I let it sit for 2 hours. Then I replied, about what? He didn't answer until the next day. Everything. That was my confirmation. He wanted back in. Maybe not into the marriage, not yet, but into safety, into familiarity, into the quiet routines he used to take for granted. Coffee on the porch, Sunday stews, me folding his shirts just the way he liked. I didn't respond. Instead, I got to work. I started with the finances. I pulled up every shared account we had, from our joint credit card, limit $12,000, to the small savings account we'd opened for emergency travel. Ironic, considering I was about to make him very uncomfortable without leaving my zip code. I transferred $3,800 into a separate account under my name only, what was left of my mother. His inheritance. Then I reviewed the automatic payments still linked to the joint card. His gym membership, $86.50 a month. His new phone plan, $73.99. And, this one made me laugh, her Spotify account. Yes, Marissa had been streaming her breakup playlists on my dime. I canceled them all, one click at a time, no warnings, no explanations. By March 25th, his phone was disconnected. By March 27th, I got an email from the gym saying, Alan G. has been removed from your family plan. Good. Next, I booked an appointment with a lawyer. Her name was Jennifer Reyes, 40-something, sharp as a knife, and dry as a saltine. I want everything I'm owed, I told her. And I want the split to sting. We went through it line by line. The house, fully paid off, thanks to me. The retirement accounts, the car, title in my name, and even the antique furniture his grandmother left, which he hadn't touched in years. And the affair? She asked. Do you want to use it? I thought for a moment. Not in court, but yes, she smiled. I like you. While the paperwork began moving behind the scenes, I did one more thing. I went to see Marissa. Yes, in person. I waited until I saw on her Instagram story that she was working. She'd posted a boomerang of herself making coffee at a place called Oak Birch Cafe, one of those overly minimalist shops with too many succulents and not enough decaf. I walked in at 11:32 a.m. on a Wednesday. She was behind the counter, pouring milk into a metal jug. When she turned and saw me, her face froze for just a second. Not fear exactly, but awareness. I stepped up to the register. Small black coffee, please. She rang me up. No small talk, not a single word. When she handed me the cup, I held her gaze. You should really make sure the next man you date tells you everything, especially about his prostate. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. And one more thing, I added. Just because someone gives you attention doesn't. Alan showed up that night, again. This time, he rang the bell 5 times before I opened the door. His eyes were red, and he looked like he hadn't slept. Carol, he started. I made a mistake. I leaned on the doorframe. Which one? He sighed. All of it. I let that sit in the air. I want to come home, he said. No, he blinked. No? I nodded. No. You don't get to walk out, call me unlovable, and then crawl back because your child bride got spooked by a medical report, he flinched. Besides, I added, I'm filing. Divorce. Papers will arrive next week. He looked like someone had punched him in the chest. You're serious? As a heart attack. He tried to protest, but I cut him off. You lost me the second you tried to trade me in for something shinier. But Alan, shiny doesn't last. I do. I closed the door on his stunned silence. That night, I took a long bath with lavender oil and wine. I lit a candle, played Billie Holiday on the old record player. I didn't cry. I didn't grieve. I simply exhaled everything I had been holding for far too long. I slept better than I had in years, and in the morning, I called the locksmith, because it was time to change the locks, on the door and on my life. The locksmith arrived right on time. Thursday, March 28th, 9:15 a.m. His name was Theo, mid-40s, polite, with calloused hands and a quiet voice. As he unscrewed the deadbolt on the front door, he asked, break in or break up? I smiled faintly. A little of both. He didn't press further. He didn't need to. There's a look women like me carry, the kind that says, I've finally had enough. I tipped him $40 and watched as the old lock, the one Alan used for 17 years, dropped into the trash bin with a metallic thud. It was official now. He had no key, no way back in. And just like that, this house became mine. That afternoon, I started clearing out his things. Not in a rage. I didn't smash or shred anything. I didn't light his clothes on fire like some dramatic movie heroine. I just packed, box by box. Carefully. Deliberately. Shirts he hadn't folded. Shoes he left scuffed and muddy. Cleaned, polished, boxed. That ancient shaving kit with the cracked leather strap. Wiped down and sealed shut. By 6:40 p.m., his entire presence fit into 7 cardboard boxes, neatly stacked in the garage. I labeled them in black Sharpie. Office junk, winter clothes, bedroom dresser, lies. The last one was for me. On March 30th, I sent him a text. Your belongings are boxed in the garage. You may pick them up between 10 a.m. 12 p.m. on Sunday. I won't be home. If you miss that window, they're going to Goodwill. He didn't reply. Sunday came, and he arrived at 11:48 a.m., just 12 minutes before the deadline. I know because I had the neighbor, sweet Mrs. Delaney, watching from her front porch. She texted me the moment he left. He looked confused, carried out boxes like a kid sneaking out of detention. Perfect. With Alan physically gone, the next phase began. reclaiming the emotional space. I took the dining room table he always said was too feminine and painted it a deep, glossy plum. I bought gold candlesticks and set them out just because I liked the way they shimmered at night. I rearranged the living room to face the fireplace instead of the television. I even took down the wall of family photos. Not forever, just for now. The smiling faces felt like ghosts. I needed time to breathe without memories watching me. Then I went into the bedroom and did the hardest thing. I opened the drawer. Every woman has one. The drawer of memories, old cards, anniversary notes, a movie stub from your first date, the hospital band from when your child was born. I pulled it all out and laid it across the bed. Lisa, an autopsy. The oldest item was a note he wrote in 1989 on the back of a grocery list. It said, "Don't forget to get milk." I kept that one. I don't know why, maybe as a reminder that once it had been real, but I threw the rest away. Meanwhile, Marissa had gone quiet. No posts, no stories. Just one dramatic caption from March 25th. Sometimes healing means walking away. I didn't know if they were still speaking. I didn't care. What mattered was that I'd taken control of my story again. Until, of course, the knock came. It was April 2nd, early evening. I'd just poured a glass of wine and was halfway through the Great British Bake Off when I heard it, a soft but insistent knock at the door. I knew it was him. I didn't open right away. I let him knock again. When I finally did, I kept the screen door latched. Alan looked like a man deflated, hair messy, shirt wrinkled, eyes bloodshot. "Carol," he said. "I got the results." I said nothing. He swallowed. "It's positive. Stage 2. Early, but it's confirmed." There it was. The thing I knew was coming. But still, hearing it out loud hit differently. "I start treatment in 2 weeks," he continued. "They're hopeful. Radiation first. Maybe surgery." I waited a beat. "I'm sorry to hear that." His eyes darted, searching for something in my face. Pity, maybe. Regret. Some old version of me who would hold his hand and say, "We'll get through this together." But she didn't live here anymore. "I need support," he said. I don't really have anyone." I gave a short laugh. "Marissa gone?" He nodded slowly. "She said she's too young to be someone's nurse." "Well," I said, "at least she's honest now." He leaned forward, lowering his voice. "I know I messed up. I panicked. I felt old and weak and useless, and I thought being with her would fix it." "You told me I was too old to be loved," I reminded him, calm but cutting. "And now you want me to love you through your illness?" "I never stopped loving you," he said. "That one near." Lily made me slam the door. "No, Alan," I said. "You stopped the moment you decided youth mattered more than loyalty, the moment you let someone else into our life without so much as an apology." "I'm scared," he whispered. I looked him dead in the eyes. "So was I. When you left, when you emptied our savings, when you insulted my worth, I was terrified, but I survived, and so will you." He stood there for a moment, stunned. Then, like a man surrendering, he turned and walked away. I didn't watch him go. That night, I stood in front of the bathroom mirror and said out loud, "I do not exist to save anyone. Not anymore." It felt like a spell breaking. I brushed my hair, wiped my face, and crawled into bed, alone, and finally, at peace. I didn't hear from Alan for 2 weeks. The last thing he said to me was that he was scared. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. I had already said everything I would ever say to that man. Sometimes, silence is the sharpest response. I kept living. I bought myself fresh flowers every Saturday, lilies and tulips, sometimes roses when they were on sale at the farmer's market. I started walking every morning at 6:30 a.m., just as the sun crept over the rooftops. I lost 5 pounds without trying. Not that I was trying. I just had less to carry now. One day, I passed a mirror and didn't look away. The divorce finalized on May 8th. It took exactly 7 weeks and one very efficient attorney. No children to fight over, no house to split. I kept that. My name had been on the deed alone since the mortgage was paid off in 2017, thanks to my inheritance. Alan didn't contest it. He knew better. He got the old Honda. I kept the CRV. He kept the leather recliner that always squeaked when he shifted. I kept the peace. The retirement accounts were divided, 60-40 in my favor, because I had documentation proving I contributed more over the Years. I even kept the old photo albums, not for him, for the kids, for the grandkids someday, for history. But my favorite part? The judge's final remark during the last Zoom hearing. She looked at the screen, then at me, and said, "Mrs. Greer, you seem like a woman who knows what she's doing." Yes, I do. I hadn't blocked Alan's number, not out of sentiment, but strategy. I wanted to know if, or when, he'd reach out again. And eventually, he did. May 21st, 9:03 p.m. I had my second treatment today. Alone. Thought of you. I stared at that message for a long time. Then I typed, "You're not alone because you're sick. You're alone because you lied. You betrayed. And you blamed everyone but yourself. I was there when you were healthy. You left when I still loved you." Then I hit send. Then I hit block. That was the last time I ever let him enter my space, even digitally. A month later, I started volunteering at the local library, 3 days a week, shelving books and helping children sign up for reading programs. There's something poetic about rebuilding your life among stories, especially when yours used to feel like a tragedy. The librarian, Miriam, asked me if I'd ever thought of writing. I laughed. My story would scare people. She smiled. Or empower them. That word stuck with me. Empower. Not recover. Not survive. Empower. One afternoon, while shelving paperbacks in the fiction section, I overheard a teenage girl whispering to her friend, "I hope he texts me first. I don't want to seem desperate." I turned the corner and smiled gently. "If you ever feel desperate, you're already giving too much." They blinked at me, unsure whether to laugh or nod. "You deserve someone who doesn't make you wait to feel seen," I added. Then I walked away. Let them chew on that. I won't pretend I don't think about him sometimes, not out of love, but curiosity. What does he feel now, as he sits in some apartment filled with silence and regret? What does he see when he looks in? The mirror? Does he still dye his beard? I'll never know. I don't need to, because I'm not the woman he abandoned. I'm the woman who let him go. Last week, I got a call from our youngest, Ava. She'd heard about everything from her brother and hadn't wanted to pick sides. I understood. Children should never be the rope in a tug-of-war. But this time, her voice was different. Warmer. Curious. "Mom," she said, "are you okay?" "I'm better than okay," I told her. "I'm becoming." She paused. "Becoming what?" And I said, "Exactly who I was before the world asked me to shrink for someone else." I went upstairs that night and opened my old jewelry box. There, beneath a stack of tangled necklaces and tarnished pins, was the gold ring Alan gave me in 1990, thin, modest, a heart-shaped ruby in the center. I slipped it on. Not because of what it meant back then, but because I bought that ruby with my own money. He just picked the setting. Now I pick the story. People ask me if I'm dating again. No, I'm not. Right now, I date myself. I take myself to the movies. I cook what I want. I sleep diagonally on the bed and wear silk pajamas. I smile when I wake up, because there's no one there to tell me I'm too old for anything. And if one day someone comes along who adds to my peace, wonderful. But I will never again build a life around someone who expects me to beg for scraps of respect, because I am not too old to be loved. I was just too wise to accept fake love any longer.